Imagine walking through a Japanese garden. At first glance, it feels simple. Just trees, stones, and maybe a pond. But as you pause and let the scene unfold, something incredible happens. The garden grows. Not in size, of course, but in depth. Suddenly you're immersed in a world far larger than it seems. A place where space feels infinite and tranquil at the same time. This is no accident. Japanese gardens are designed to play with your perception of depth. And here's what's fascinating. It's not about adding more. It's about strategically using less. Hi, I'm Gensetsu, and welcome to Shizen Style. Today we're going to uncover the secrets of Japanese garden design. Secrets that aren't just about creating beautiful spaces, but about living a meaningful life. Stay with me. You won't look at depth the same way again. In Japanese garden design, there's a concept called shakke, or borrowed scenery. It's the idea of using the surrounding landscape, distant mountains, a nearby forest, as part of the garden itself. Designers layer trees, stones, and water features to lead your eyes deeper into the space, creating the illusion of infinite depth. This is no accident. A recent paper on Japanese gardens describes how vertical and horizontal planes are carefully constructed to reveal sequential layers. What does this mean for us? Depth isn't just physical, it's emotional. In life, we create depth by layering experiences, relationships, and meaning. When I visited a Kyoto garden by the name of Enoji Temple for the first time, I remember sitting on the veranda focusing on the moss garden and the boulder arrangement that was in front of me. Tall pine trees from a canopy above and the trunks begin to sort of create a frame. Then I noticed how the distant mountains became part of the scene. Enoji is celebrated for its exceptional use of shakke. This temple's garden seamlessly incorporates Mount Hiei into the landscape, making the distant mountain appear as part of the garden's design. The more I looked, the more layers I found. There's a sharply pruned hedge separating the wild beyond the garden, but also adding layers of depth. It's like life. The more you pay attention, the richer it becomes. Now, the concept of shakke is somewhat controversial. Some garden designers think it's almost like cheating. You shouldn't be using the surrounding scenery as part of your garden. You should only be relying on what you create within the confines of the garden. Either way, take it how you will, but for the purposes of this video where we're talking about depth, I think incorporating the surrounding scenery as much as possible will help you create more depth. What if depth wasn't about adding more, but about noticing what's already there? Imagine applying that principle to your own work or even your home. Framing as a tool for mindfulness. Japanese gardens turn nature into art using frames. Openings between trees or windows in tea houses guide your gaze to specific elements, turning the landscape into a living painting. The research points out framing serves as a visual invitation, slowing the observer's pace and focusing their attention on the transient beauty of the moment. Think about that. Slowing down to focus. How often do we rush through our days without framing what's truly important? Once when I was out doing some landscape photography, I found myself struggling to capture a scene. Then I stepped back, literally, and noticed a natural frame formed by tree branches. Suddenly, the shot came alive. It's a lesson that applies to more than photography. Sometimes stepping back is the only way to see clearly. If this resonates with you, I've put together a guide on Japanese garden design and composition. It's called Shizen Style, Japanese Garden Design and Spatial Design, MA. And it's available on my website at shizenstyle.com. Dive deeper into these principles and learn how to apply them to your own spaces. Contrast and perspective. Contrast is another way Japanese gardens keep you engaged. Smooth water mirrors the sky, rough stones anchor the space, and soft moss invites touch. This interplay of textures creates a dynamic experience. One of my favorite lines from the research paper is, "Contrasting textures highlight the individuality of each element while contributing to the unified whole." In other words, differences don't divide, they enrich. In my photography, I'm constantly looking for contrast, light and shadow, texture and smoothness. It's the tension between opposites that makes an image compelling. And isn't that true in life too? Our differences don't weaken us, they make us whole. And here's the real magic. Japanese gardens even change your sense of space itself. Let's talk about perspective. Perspective and impermanence. Perspective tricks in Japanese gardens create an illusion of vastness. Larger elements in the foreground and smaller ones in the distance make even small spaces feel boundless. The paper describes it as enhancing the observer's perception of space, offering a sense of boundlessness even in confined areas. Imagine applying this to your life. What if a simple shift in perspective could make everything feel more expansive? I remember photographing a Zen garden in Kyoto. It was small, barely larger than a courtyard, but the way the stones were arranged made it feel limitless. That's the power of perspective. Not changing what's there, but changing how you see it. And then there's impermanence. Japanese gardens embrace change. Leaves fall, moss grows, water evaporates. These aren't flaws. They're what make the garden alive. The philosophy of wabi-sabi teaches us to find beauty in these moments of transition. As the paper says, by incorporating the principles of impermanence and natural cycles, Japanese gardens evoke a sense of profound connection to time and transience. Isn't that a lesson we all need? Japanese gardens aren't just spaces, they're teachers. They remind us that depth comes from layers, clarity from framing, richness from contrast, and freedom from perspective. Thanks for exploring these ideas with me. Let me know in the comments how you can add more depth, more layers to your life or work. Until next time, stay curious and stay creative.